Hi guys, this is a decode of this Super Bowl logo, and I wanted to give a shout out and thanks to Lisa Rose for this question. Yeah, Lisa Rose. I want to make sure I got that right. I wouldn't have done this without the request, but I really did find this very interesting, and there's tons of tie-ins and good code in here. So I hope you like this one. All right, talk to you later. Hi, a viewer asked me to take a look at this, and I was pretty amazed to take a look at this. I don't look at sports things, but this is an important event, and they do have predictive code in here. So I just wanted to take a quick second and just talk about what I can see. There's a play here between the silver and the gold, and the silver is the kind of the phallus shape here, which would be like the Washington Monument kind of idea. And then here at the top is the football, which is actually code for the lens-shaped earth. It has 8 stitches here, and there are 8 little dots here on the NFL. And so that's an 88. That's a mocking of a Christ number, because the 88 is actually a Christ number. I know the Nazis use it, but that's a mocking of the Christ number too. It's a double infinity loop of time. But it's not meant, it's the crossing in the very center of the double infinity is the Christ center, so that's why it's a Christ number. It's not only the crossing behind the eye, but it's also there's a pulmonary crossing in the brain, symbolism of the crossing behind the eye. So it's a lot of code. It's a lot of different kind of code having to do with a chalice, but also even just brain symbolism. The shield shape here is, I learned a while ago, and I'm going to go off of memory because I don't know where to look this up again very quickly, is the sonic geometry for 432 hertz. I think that this is the original idea of this, and this particular shield isn't perfectly that shape, but it's very close. I'm cleaning my disks. Hold on. Yeah, I'm cleaning my disks. Hopefully that will work out good. I realized that in my user file I had 50 gigs that I couldn't find, and it was in app data. All right, that's an aside. Also, so 50 here, this number 50, actually I had 40 something. I just rounded it up. This number 50 right here, besides being a double pi, this 25 is code for pi, and that's because 16 plus 9 is 25. Now another number that's code for pi is h and I, which is 8 and 7, and that is 17, and that is a q. This just pi, p and I is 25, and that is a y. And that's, I think I did a video where y is the question and the answer. Okay, there's a code right there in the letter y. It's the question and the answer is pi. So apparently, you ask any question, the answer is in pi. And I have a video that I put up, it's all made, and I just haven't pressed publish on it because, first of all, I think there's really a lot more pertinent and important things that are probably close to your heart to learn about, but also it's a little weird. I went through the first 1,000 digits of pi looking for placement code, and I found placement code. I found between like 10 or 11, just in the first part of my notes, I found 10 or 11 historical dates that are recorded in the first 1,000 digits of pi according to their placement code. So then when you find this and you say the question is in y and the answer is in y, you know, y asks the question, right? Why? Okay? The answer is pi. So I am coming to believe that all answers are in pi. And that is a very curious thing. It could mean that our quantum random frequency generator that we live in, the creation that is meant to nurture us and help us evolve, that its program is based on pi. Could mean that. Okay, well anyway, back to this. So 50 here is in gold, and that's kind of the solar number, and the silver is kind of the lunar number. However, in terms of silver, like say Nevada is like the silver state, and Nevada is the state that's both even atom, and Nev, N is the sound, okay, of creation. It's the one of the original Ankh sounds. Eve of Nevada, Eve, and then Ada. Okay, so it's the Eve and the atom, and this is also the core idea of the letter M, and I've talked to that about it a few times. But so we're going to move on to the next topic here. So anyway, here in 50, this is gold. Gold is AU, which is 22, and that is the lowest slave number. And according to Zachariah Sitchin, that's why humans were genetically engineered, was to mine gold. And it could have been, the external mining could have been symbolic for an internal mining. We also have alchemical code about gold being the purification of the soul. Well, here, just looking at the numbers, 50. Oh wait, let me go look at my notes just to make sure I say this right. Hold on. Okay, so 50 minus 22 is 28, which is the solar rotation as visible from the Earth. This is also a very important number to the Illuminati. If this is your first video with me, I know it's going to seem a little fast. I'll try to throw in references for you to go and get some background on different things. But going back to basically Mayan times and the understanding of the sun, I don't think they worshiped the sun. I think they understood the sun's role in our world. They were solar scientists, and they knew more about the sun than most people know now. So anyway, that's the number 28. So this is 50 minus 22 is 28, and that's a very important number. We also saw that they like this number. This is the number of years that the Twin Towers were allowed to stand, and the half of that is 14. And that breaks both the 14s of that basically break down into the two pentacles, the evolved man pentacle, which would be the upright pentacle, and the de-evolved man pentacle. And that has to do with the balance of the 5 elements. If you're balanced, you're evolved. So you can see that's interesting that it breaks down that way. If you add 22 to 50, you end up with 72, which is the number of years it takes for the sun to move 1 degree in the zodiac. So that's another interesting number. But I also want to point out that, and I think I started to mention this and then I got off track, is that 50 is 2 times 25, and that's 2 times pi. Well, whenever we have 2 of anything, that's a twin. Whenever we have 2 circles, we see these 2 circles a lot, for basically all the way from ancient jewelry to ancient temples. The first money, the pieces of 8, had double circles like this. This is basically a Venus sign. And so if you take 2 circles and you sort of draw them close to each other, you have the Vesica Pisces in the center. That is the place in Washington, D.C. where the Washington Monument is. And if you go see my video on Washington, D.C. and Isis and the Washington Monument, and you haven't watched any of my videos before, I'm sure you'll be astonished at what I found there in Washington, D.C. However, so this is a manifestation number. This is, the Venus, the Vesica Pisces with the Washington Monument in the center. This is a conception vessel. And in Washington, D.C., they actually have a fish there. That's the ICHTHYUS. It's not a Christian symbol. It's an ancient Pleiadian symbol, which was later adopted to Egyptian. Just because it was handed down to the Christians doesn't mean it's a Christian symbol. But they can put it on their car. That's okay. Now, so that's one of the core meanings behind this 50. The other thing about this 50 is, so we have 2 pies. We know they worship pi. We have the interaction of pi. We have the conception vessel that's formed out of 2 pies. Okay. Then we have also just the 50 on the face value of it is 5 times 10. So that's a trinity of pentacles. There's actually a trinity of suns. If you go farther back into the Christian medieval art, it has a lot of pictures of Yahshua pointing to a trinity of suns. And I believe I don't want to go too far afield, but I want to give you a taste for what's going on here. This is, the Trinity of Suns really is the big enchilada here, because we are a library of at least 20, I want to say 22, so maybe I'll say that, at least 22 star nations that had a hand in our genetics, and we are related to all of them. And through us, we are solving their problems through our DNA. So the Trinity of Suns, I think, has to do with the suns involved with all these nations, all these star nations that we are working with. And it also has to do with the evolution of the DNA. And we are a library of DNA. When we solve the problems here, then our DNA actually it instantly through 0-point energy relays the message of the solved problem. It's instantaneous. It's quantum. But not only that, the star nations can use our DNA to enhance their races for a more harmonious galactic political situation. So that is really the big enchilada of the Trinity of Suns. But so we see that with the 5 times 10 here. You could also see it as the 10 is an upward pentacle and a downward pentacle, which has 10 points. And each of those points has, it's like a fractal outgrowth of the pentacle. You could see it that way. Hi, okay, so I just had to check my notes. So now I can't remember if I actually talked about this, but the phi symbol here, I'll talk about the negative space, that's the black background, but the outer shape of here with this coming up through the middle, this is a phi shape. And phi is spelled P-H-I, which is a 16 and an 8 and a 9. And the other number that's in the first 9 digits after the decimal point of phi is a 33. And phi, all these numbers add up to 33. So this makes a nice little knot here, or a little symmetrical number loop or something, because phi is 1.618033, and I think the next one is either a 9 or an 8. And then if you spell it, it's P, which is 16, H, which is 8, and I, which is 9. And if you add P plus 8 plus 9, that's 33. Well, I wish you could see this. Let me see if I can make a drawing pad. Hold on. All right, let's try this. Oh gosh, we have bad writing. Hold on a second. Let me just, okay, let me try this. P, H, I. So this is 16, 8, sorry guys, and a 9. This adds to 17. I want to show you this because this is the P. So think about the Vatican Chi-Rho. This is a sign of Orion, and it does have a lot to do actually with the jade helm symbol that we have, where it comes, we have this. Now I believe that this is meant to be spinning. So this is actually a P and a phi, a cursive phi, because a cursive phi goes something like this. This is what we see on the forehead of Nefertiti. Okay, so something else popped in my head for a second there. Okay, so this, sorry that it's hard to see. Okay, so 17, the digital root of that is 8. Well, 8 is the infinite loop of time. And that's actually what is right here in the Chi-Rho. Right there. It just goes from here to here, because if you look at the Pharaoh hieroglyphs, this is what they have, a circle right around this. This is because this is the domain of the living right here. But this is also the chalice, and it's also a lot of things. But what I wanted to tell you about this, let me pause it, make sure I'm going to get this right. Okay, well, what I wanted to say was this, for one thing, right here, is one of the declensions, one of the codes for pi. And pi and phi have a relationship with each other, and it is it's 6/5, and we will see a lot of 56s in the numbers and 65s in the numbers, times phi squared. That, and that approximates pi. Well, here within phi we have, this is pi because the H is the Greek letter for P. So this is pi, and also in a recent video, really recent, like the last 3, I talk about Hawaii being pi, and Hawaii is the 50th state. So you can tell that I'm really not out here in left field with this. Hawaii is the final state, and what they're saying is pi is the final state, and they're talking about the completion. They're probably talking about, you know, something like this snake biting its own tail. I probably drew this the wrong way. So this is about the completion, and Hawaii is about the completion, and that's why Obama was supposedly born in Hawaii, but he was actually born in Hawaii, Kenya. But still, they did it all right. They minded their P's and Q's, which when they chose the place of his birth, or at least reported it that way. And this is also, phi is minding your P's and Q's. Here's your P, and the pi is actually a Q, because it's a set. I'm really sorry about the writing here. This is hard to do. We do a better Q, because this is 17 and Q is the 17th letter. Now if you mind your P's and Q's, but this goes back to my video from 2 videos ago that I'm probably uploading right now. Hopefully you'll get it today or yesterday, depending on when this video comes out. If you mind your P's and Q's, you will see that phi is 1.618 19. Forget what I wrote it was before. Yeah, it's a 19. I'm sorry, guys. Please excuse me. And then I think it's a 033. I don't have a calculator nearby. Too many numbers for me to remember it. I think this is a 033 after this, and then another 9. Well, anyway, if you mind your P's and Q's, you see that your Q would interrupt pi. It would break the flow of phi. So by proxy, pi would also break the flow. Okay, so this is pi, but this is the real way to write it. This is the, oh my goodness gracious, this is the 25 way to write it, and this is the 17 way to write it, but it's also the Q. And it breaks phi. So this sign right here I just talked about in a video is it's the power symbol, and it's also, it's a conception moment, like I told you. It's also the way that the UN has their important desks arranged, because what the symbol of this is that I just came to realize today is that this is how they include their own will into phi. And it's also this Q right here, it's either pulling this out or pushing it in. I talked about in my other video that this looks a lot like the twins in the womb of Isis in Paris. So this is, I guess I'm still evolving in my knowledge about this, or my awareness. It's either coming to this point or it's removing this this center. Now, okay, so let me see. I had something else I wanted to say about this. Hold on. Okay, well, so that'll be all I'm going to say about the Q's and minding your P's and Q's and phi's and pi's. At least here, I might do it again later. But 50, because it is gold minus 33, because the 50 is sort of like the background of the phi symbol here. So you would minus it. Also because these are different colors. If you see these logos that are in black and white or opposite colors, it's a sign to add and subtract. So these are opposite colors. So we would subtract the 33 from the 50, and that would be 17. So that again is pointing to the Q. And it again is pointing to this. Whoops. Sorry. Actually, the H is also the 8. I mean, it's really like a web of code. I think hi is actually a nice thing to say to someone, better than hello. All right, well, we haven't even touched on the numbers here. Hold on. I mean the letters. But what I want to say just here on the surface, because I haven't really done the gematria of this, or if I have, I don't remember it, that this, for just right here in the picture of this, there's a 4, and here they have the lens-shaped earth between the 4 and the 4. The 4 is a sign of the firmament. It's a sign of the dome. And here they show that it's almost like two domes. This is the upper kingdom and the lower kingdom, the upper chalice and the lower chalice. San Francisco is a very interesting area, and I just found a giant, not just, but somewhat recently, I found a giant Nazca-type pictograph of what I thought was Zeus. He has, his face goes at a certain angle. Please go look at my video, Zeus in San Francisco. His face has a certain angle with a beard, and he is a merman. And I thought, well, that's very interesting, because if you look at San Francisco from the sky, it looks like it's about to ready to drop into the ocean at any moment, but he's ready to swim away. Well, the line of his face goes exactly to the Manitoba Legislative Center, which is an owl, and there's another man up there that I just drew, and I call him Manitoba Man, if you want to go look at that video. Well, the San Francisco Bay Area, this area, right, and then on his forehead is the Trans-American Pyramid. So then I thought later, there's a Vishnu, Vishnu, I learned, because I'm not fluent in Hindu either. I'm learning everything as we go along here. Vishnu apparently took the form of a whale with a horn to protect his people against the Great Flood. So then I thought, well, gosh, maybe this guy in San Francisco is actually Vishnu. In that form, his name was Matsya. So I just offer that to you. Anyway, that's one of the big things about the San Francisco Bay Area. Besides that, it's soaked. It's like, soaked with Freemason symbolism. It's unbelievable down there. The whole thing's crackling with symbolism. But the very top icing on the cupcake of all the symbolism is the Golden Gate Bridge, which we happen to see here. I did a full decode on the Golden Gate Bridge, but it was before I was making videos. All these numbers, every structure, every measurement of the Golden Gate Bridge, and that it had 2 opening days. Both of those days are important, the dates of them, everything about this bridge is symbolic. And it's symbolic of many things, but the main gist of it is, it comes back, there's a Vatican symbol of the 2 keys where they have the silver key and the gold key. So that's what this is alluding to. The keys cross in the center of the Vatican logo. Well, the golden key is to the Golden Gate, and the Golden Gate is the gate to Da'ath, which is the way out of this world. And that is actually, it's not just, you might get the idea of that when people die, they cross through this gate. And that's what I used to think, but I don't think that's actually what's happening anymore. I think that when you cross the gate of Da'ath, you are actually exiting the quarantine. You have graduated. You've graduated the matrix here. And then on the other side, and right there in the San Francisco Bay, they have a Golden Gate. And I kid you not, it goes from highway, right at the Golden Gate, it goes from Highway 1 to Highway 101. 101 is a gateway number, and it goes right down Zeus's or Vishnu's back. I like Vishnu a little better than I like Zeus, but I don't claim to be an expert on these things. Now, the Golden Gate is right there too. It's not a bridge, but it is there in San Francisco. And what these things are, it's esoteric astrology. The Golden Gate is supposedly between the horns of Taurus, and the Silver Gate is at the tip of the arrow of Sagittarius, and these are actually places. And these are places where our ecliptic crosses. I think it's the galactic ecliptic, but I'm not sure. So these have a lot of meaning. It's not just mythology that's earth-based. It has a lot to do with pretty advanced esoteric astronomy. So the Egyptians cared a lot about these gates. And I think the Illuminati cares a lot about these gates. So, but the birth gate, the Silver Gate, is the birth gate. That's coming in. And that's kind of the Eve idea. So that's what I have to say about that San Francisco Bay Area. This date right here is a very, very interesting date. I don't know I have to pause and let me just pause and see more about the date. Hold on. All right, well, just as a date, as an anniversary, there's some pretty amazing things. The dissolution of the Soviet Union agrees to give up its monopoly on power. It'd be nice if that happened again. This also happened in a this is a 19 year, which is a 10 year. So 2016 is a 9 year. If you just took the end of this, it could be a 9 year. A few other things that are important. You know, the first untethered spacewalk. I don't know if those things really happen. Pluto moves inside Neptune's orbit. Pluto is important. Just did a video about more of that symbolism. The Beatles arrive in the United States. So there's kind of like some big beginnings. When we get up to the numbers I'm going to show you, this is a gateway number. There's a gateway number on this date. This, when Walt Disney does stuff, that's something to pay attention to. This is about non-inanimate objects becoming ensouled. So that is a little frightening because we're talking so much now about transhumanism having to do with mixing us with machines. This is a little bit important. And then this happened in the year, this is an I year. I don't think this is so much important except for Orpheus. Now I understand more about the importance of Orpheus, and that's in a recent video. But let's look at the numbers here. The top one, you know, they actually sort these for you, so you know the top ones are supposed to be the most important, but this one really isn't speaking to me. I just don't know enough about that history. But this is it's the 38th day, which is an 11 day, and then this is a 9. So there's a 3 and a 9 here, and there's some other numbers in here too that just in terms of these days. What I need to do is check this on the Julian calendar, so that'll take a second. Hold on. Okay, well, before we go, we need to check the anti-date, and the way that you do that is, so it was 38 days with 327 remaining, so you look at the 327th day, which is November 23rd. Now this is 1123, and I see this number a lot in the outer core valence of quite a few words. So this is an important number to them. Let's just see what we see. Damascus, I found a bird there recently. Probably a phoenix. I'll pause this and take a look. All right, well, I actually decided not to take a look because I had this idea that popped into my head. This is very close to the cusp of Sagittarius and Scorpio, and that is the place that I told you where the silver gate is. It's right on the edge of Sagittarius, and it's right on the tip of the claw, I believe, of Scorpio. So I think that's what's going on with this date. So probably on this date, there's some interesting astrology happening. And then they use the anti-dates basically to just equal the dates. So I could come through here and find some more, but what I want to check the Julian. Hold on. All right. So what shows up here, if we put this in as the Gregorian date, is it shows up as January 25th, and it has a double date. So it says that under the Julian year, the year did not necessarily change on July 1st. In fact, the year number changed on different dates. So to avoid the confusion, dates in the Julian calendar between January and the day were written as 2 years separated by a slash. So it's known as double dating or dual dating. So at first I thought this meant that it was the same, this was the same for 2 years, but I'm not sure if that's what it means. But what I see here is that January is, it's the Janus god, it's the two-faced, and it has to do with Venus. And then this again is the pi number. So, okay, let's go on. All right, well, just looking at the numbers super, I brought it down here. In the English gematria, there's a 4774, so this is a mirror of the God number for them, because this is a G and a D. This number is 3 off of 432. I don't know if you know the story about how our music was 432 hertz, and then I guess before World War II, the Nazis tried to get us to change to 430, and we resisted for a long time. And anyway, now our concert pitch is 430, and it throws people off. It's not good for people to listen to 430 hertz. So I'm curious because I'm wondering if 435, what 435 is in terms of sound, since it's so close to 432. Now 432 has a lot of other tie-ins from the speed of light. If you watch a video on, I have a video I have in one of my descriptions as sonic geometry, and it has a lot in there about that. So this is what comes to mind when I see this, except for it's 3 off. So that could be a trinity off. This number, let me just show you. This number is the 22nd prime. So I didn't know this before today, so this is good. You know, the next one is 38. This is the gateway number we just talked about. But the 22nd prime is important. The 22nd is a very important number in all the symbolism, from ham, car, vehicle, having to do with parasites, having to do with the Lord of Hosts, and you are the host for the master worm. Really gross. But if you watch my parasite videos, you'll see what I'm talking about with that. But this is also the gold number. So that's interesting, because it's AU. So it's all kinds of primes. I'm not too much of a prime nerd to understand all those primes, but I wanted to show you that. So in the English and simple gematria, it matches Yahshua. That's a different spelling than I use. William, Prince William, he's super, I guess. Mother, sword. I'm very interested in sword imagery. This is a 9/11 right here. It's just upside down. Can you see that? Okay, handsome, virgin, murder, Akhenaten. Akhenaten has Obama clone tie-ins. Nature, Mother Nature, has tie-ins possibly with Holy Spirit, the Holy Spirit idea, according to some people. Lincoln is his memorial is in the pineal gland of Horus there in Washington, D.C. Flower, this was in the movie I just was decoding, which I haven't brought to you yet, Little Shop of Horrors. Alpha and Omega. So these are all really important things to be aware of. I know you can't hold this in your memory. Neither can I. Frankly. Honeybee. Alright, well, one thing that I think is interesting about this word is that in the Pharaoh King's hieroglyphs, they have a thing that looks like a bowl. And they tell you with the straight face, the academics will tell you with the straight face that this is a basket and that this pharaoh has the word basket in his name. That's not what it is. If you look at the scarab is also holding something that looks like a bowl or a lens. And what it is, what I think it is it's the container that holds the lens-shaped earth. Something like, if you look at the the shape of the eye, it's the cornea that holds the lens. And in the Bible it says, "You are the apple of my eye." There's a lot of Bible eye symbolism. There's a lot of reason to believe that this might actually be what's going on. So if you are unfamiliar with any of that and you're heavily steeped in Vatican-run schools, there's a reason for them to not want you to understand the correct map. So you need to just think for yourself who you're going to trust. But the Egyptians left code for themselves, and they didn't worry about the commoners finding the code. And so that is much more valuable in trying to understand what's really going on than listening to people who are purposely misleading you. So here we have a 9-9. Here we have a 1-2-3 and a 6. And it matches 44 spelt out. I usually don't look too much at the Jewish gematria, but it matches devil. So, okay, so maybe the code is super devil. Devil matches hello. That's why I tell you not to do that. Nero. Earth, super earth. So that's interesting because the bowl is the earth. Kind of like what I was just telling you. Pope. The symbolism here is like he is the spokesman for, for between God and the earth. The sign of the heart. Abracadabra is the magic of the spoken word. It's not so much magic, but it's kind of just how it is. Enlil, he's the top Anunnaki guy. So it's interesting that it matches all these. Salt. On and on. NWO. Sinai. So when you look at these esoteric equivalents, it gives you a feeling for what is going on behind the name. Okay, it's almost like you could see all of these things in the bowl. And it will help you understand what the Super Bowl is trying to tell you. So it's interesting that bowl equals 44 spelled out, and then Super Bowl equals 44 in a mirror right here. They love to do these mirrors. This is an overlapping Vesica Pisces mirror. This is a countdown, 6, 7, it's actually an anagram of a countdown, but it has an 86 in it. So that's something to keep an eye on. That equals Morgan, equals stock, equals market. It does imply Bride of Christ type of idea. This is a 707 gateway plus it implies the way, which is 7 times 7. Matches the chosen one, Super Bowl. Matches JFK. Matches God's name is Pi. Matches Pope Francis. These are all important things to know. Matches the Garden of Eden and ex-girlfriend. Joan Rivers, Milk and Honey. Terence McKenna. Interesting. All right, Jesse Jackson. All right, here we go. All right, well, San Francisco Bay area, just exactly the way that they did it, is a 39 or a 93 gateway in the Jewish gematria. So the good homework would be to look up 93 and 39 and study those numbers and see what a gateway of that would be. I'm guessing it has to do with gold and silver. And then here we have a 10 and a 50, and this is the 50th Super Bowl, so I don't think that's a coincidence. And I just studied that. I just found something that I thought was like, okay, this is what 75 means. And I just was like, okay, I finally figured out what 75 means, and now I don't remember what it was. Too many things. But it does equal, in the Jewish gematria, equals Supreme Court and Beautiful Soul. And in the simple gematria, in English, did I miss it? Oh, there it is. It matches consciousness. 121, which is a 3 mirror, Phoenix, Arizona, the Holy Trinity, freshwater pearl, Venus, 77, which is the divergent spiral sign of Isis. So I just wanted to bring that to you. Alright, I probably went way too long on this, but I hope, oh, Father's Day, oh no, just Father's Day's poems. Alright, I probably went way too long on this. Let me just take a quick look at the thing here to see if there's something else. Yeah, I could go more into these the NFL too. There's a lot I could do a deeper decode on the Super Bowl, but I think we've done enough. Alright.